The 20th century was one of the most crucial in human history, with its tragic and cruel events culminating in the assassination attempt on the sweet Christ on earth. Now a veil is drawn back on a series of events which make history and interpret it in depth, in a spiritual perspective, alien to present-day attitudes, often tainted with rationalism. Throughout history, there have been supernatural apparitions and signs which go to the heart of human events, and which, to the surprise of believers and non-believers alike, play their part in the unfolding of history. These manifestations can never contradict the content of faith, and must therefore have their focus in the core of Christ's proclamation. The Father's love, which leads men and women to conversion and bestows the grace required to abandon oneself to Him with filial devotion. This too is the message of Fatima, which, with its urgent call to conversion and penance, draws us to the heart of the gospel. Fatima is undoubtedly the most prophetic of modern apparitions. The first and second parts of The Secret, which are here published in sequence so as to complete the documentation, refer especially to the frightening vision of hell, devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Second World War, and finally, the prediction of the immense damage that Russia would do to humanity by abandoning the Christian faith and embracing communist totalitarianism. In 1917, no one could have imagined all this. The three Pastorinos of Fatima see, listen, and remember, and Lucia, the surviving witness, commits it all to paper when ordered to do so by the Bishop of Leiria and with Our Lady's permission. Mother of all individuals and peoples, you know all their sufferings and hopes. In your motherly heart, you feel all the struggles between good and evil, between light and darkness that convulse the world. Accept the plea which we make in the Holy Spirit directly to your heart, and embrace with the love of the mother and handmaid of the Lord those who most await this embrace, and also those whose act of entrustment you too await in a particular way. Take under your motherly protection the whole human family, which with affectionate love we entrust to you. O Mother, may there dawn for everyone the time of peace and freedom, the time of truth, of justice, and of hope. In a special way, we entrust and consecrate to you those individuals and nations which particularly need to be thus entrusted and consecrated. We have recourse to your protection, Holy Mother of God. Despise not our petitions in our necessities. The Pope then continued more forcefully and with more specific references, as though commenting on the message of Fatima in its sorrowful fulfillment. Behold, as we stand before you, Mother of Christ, before your Immaculate Heart, we desire, together with the whole Church, to unite ourselves with the consecration which, for love of us, your Son made of himself to the Father. And for their sake, I consecrate myself, that they may also be sanctified in truth. John 17:19. We wish to unite ourselves with our Redeemer in this his consecration for the world and for the human race, which, in his divine heart, has the power to obtain pardon and to secure reparation. The power of this consecration lasts for all time and embraces all individuals, peoples, and nations. It overcomes every evil that the spirit of darkness is able to awaken, and has in fact awakened in our times, in the heart of man, and in his history. How deeply we feel the need for the consecration of humanity and the world, our modern world, in union with Christ himself For the redeeming work of Christ must be shared in by the world through the Church. The present year of the redemption shows this, the special jubilee of the whole Church. Above all creatures, may you be blessed, you, the handmaid of the Lord, who in the fullest way obeyed the divine call. Hail to you, who are wholly united to the redeeming consecration of your Son. Mother of the Church, enlighten the people of God along the paths of faith, hope, and love. Enlighten especially the peoples whose consecration and entrustment by us you are awaiting. Help us to live in the truth of the consecration of Christ for the entire human family of the modern world. In entrusting to you, O Mother, the world, all individuals and peoples, we also entrust to you this very consecration of the world, placing it in your motherly heart, immaculate heart. Help us to conquer the menace of evil, which so easily takes root in the hearts of the people today, and whose immeasurable effects already weigh down upon our modern world and seem to block the paths towards the future. From famine and war, deliver us. From nuclear war, from incalculable self-destruction, from every kind of war, deliver us. From sins against the life of man from its very beginning, deliver us. From hatred and from the demeaning of the dignity of the children of God, deliver us. From every kind of injustice in the life of society, both national and international, deliver us. From readiness to trample on the commandments of God, deliver us. From attempts to stifle in human hearts the very truth of God, deliver us. From the loss of awareness of good and evil, deliver us. From sins against the Holy Spirit, deliver us. Deliver us. Accept, O Mother of Christ, this cry laden with the sufferings of all individual human beings, laden with the sufferings of whole societies. Help us with the power of the Holy Spirit to conquer all sin, individual sin and the sin of the world, sin in all its manifestations. Let there be revealed once more in the history of the world the infinite saving power of the redemption, the power of merciful love. May it put a stop to evil. May it transform consciences. May your immaculate heart reveal for all the light of hope. Sister Lucia personally confirmed that this solemn and universal act of consecration corresponded to what Our Lady wished. Hence, any further discussion or request is without basis. Sister Lucia had already given an indication for interpreting the third part of the secret in a letter to the Holy Father. The third part of the secret refers to Our Lady's words, "If not, Russia will spread her errors throughout the world, causing wars and persecutions of the Church. The good will be martyred. The Holy Father will have much to suffer. Various nations will be annihilated." The third part of the secret is a symbolic revelation, referring to this part of the message, conditioned by whether we accept or not what the message itself asks of us. If my requests are heeded, Russia will be converted and there will be peace. If not, she will spread her errors throughout the world, etc. Since we did not heed this appeal of the message, we see that it has been fulfilled. Russia has invaded the world with her errors. And if we have not yet seen the complete fulfillment of the final part of this prophecy, we are going towards it little by little with great strides. If we do not reject the path of sin, hatred, revenge, injustice, violations of the rights of the human person, immorality and violence, etc. And let us not say that it is God who is punishing us in this way. On the contrary, it is people themselves who are preparing their own punishment. In His kindness, God warns us and calls us to the right path, while respecting the freedom He has given us. Hence, people are responsible. The decision of His Holiness Pope John Paul II to make public the third part of the secret of Fatima brings to an end a period of history marked by tragic human lust for power and evil, yet pervaded by the merciful love of God and the watchful care of the Mother of Jesus and of the Church. The action of God, the Lord of history, and the co-responsibility of man in the drama of His creative freedom are the two pillars upon which human history is built. Our Lady, who appeared at Fatima, recalls these forgotten values. She reminds us that man's future is in God, and that we are active and responsible partners in creating that future.